Jonathan here with TLD. Hope you guys are doing well, and thumbs up if you guys are enjoying the tech craziness that is amongst us. Today obviously being the launch of the new iPad Air, and yesterday finally and officially the new Nexus 5 went on sale, although it did sell out shortly thereafter. I do however have one of those on the way, so definitely stay tuned if you want coverage on that. Now as far as this video goes, not only do I have an unboxing, but also a comparison of both the space gray and silver iPad Air. Now chances are if you were looking for an iPad Air, you more than likely got one. It was nowhere near as crazy as the iPhone 5S launch. There was an abundance of these things. So if you did pick one up, let me know what size, color, and configuration with a comment down below. We'll go ahead and begin first with the space gray box and go ahead and pop the cap on that. We'll then go ahead and rinse, repeat, do the exact same thing with the silver model, and then take a closer look inside. So first up is the box literature. Removing that reveals the USB to Lightning cable. Now inside that box, you get a little documentation, a little quick start guide on the iPad, and of course the Apple stickers. Aside from that, you get the USB wall charger, which is actually now 12 watts as opposed to 10 on the previous iPads. And that wraps up the accessories, and unlike an iPhone or an iPod, there are 0 headphones included. Come on, Tim Cook, people are dropping 5+ Benjamins for these things. You can at least throw them a bone, or some earpods. So jumping into the main attraction, we'll take a closer look at both of the iPad Airs. Again, they come in 2 colors, now in space gray / black, which is my personal favorite, and then silver and white, which is super classy. So obviously the iPad Air is thinner, it's faster, it's lighter, but as far as the screen goes, both the resolution and the size are exactly the same as the previous generation iPad. So we're looking at 9.7 inches with a resolution of 2048 by 1536, so no upgrades here compared to the previous 2 generations of the iPad. Now the actual changes happen to both the form factor and the weight, and after messing with it for a little while, it honestly feels and looks like a big iPad mini. And I'm actually curious to see how that translates over to usage for me, especially because I've always preferred the iPad mini form factor over the full-size iPad, because when it came to using mobile, if it was an iPad or a laptop, I usually preferred a laptop just because I usually needed that for productivity and for the power. So that actually leads me to talk about the actual name itself, the iPad Air, because that kind of just came out of left field, but one would think with an iPad Air, what will come next? An iPad Pro. There's been some talk and some rumors of an iPad more in the 12-inch range, geared more towards prosumer activities. I'm not sure if I would give up a laptop for that, but at the very least, it should be very interesting. Let me know if you're interested or not interested with a comment down below. So jumping back to the iPad Air, like I talked about, it does take after the iPad mini in terms of design and form factor. So we now see 2 separate speakers right in the middle as opposed to one on the left-hand side like we saw in previous generation iPads. Now to give you guys an idea of how the iPad Air looks compared to its predecessor, here's how they look side by side, and you can see the iPad 4th generation really looks boxy compared to the iPad Air. And if you still really couldn't tell a difference between those two, just stack the iPad Air on top of the previous iPad, and now you should really be able to see the difference. Now getting back to comparing the colors and why I prefer space gray over silver, it's actually less to do with the actual back color and more to do with the front bezel. I've always preferred a black bezel on a tablet as opposed to white, simply because you get more immersed in the content you're consuming. Whether you're watching a movie or YouTube or playing a game, the black bezel just seems to fit more naturally, whereas the white can be a little distracting, so do take note of that. That of course is my opinion, but if you really want to see the 2 side by side in person, I would suggest going and checking them out for yourself. Now as fancy pants as the iPad Air seems, one thing it does not have is the same Touch ID fingerprint reader as the iPhone 5S. Now I'm not sure that's going to be a deal breaker, but because I did get used to it on the iPhone 5S, it was a little bit weird not having it, and I did find myself wanting to unlock it with my thumb, and instead I would have to swipe, enter the password like a caveman, and you guys kind of get the picture. So do you guys think that was a big mistake on Apple's part not including it on the iPad Air, or do you think it's not that big of a deal on a tablet? Where I could see use out of this is multiple profiles on the iPad. Simply just unlock it with a thumb, but of course we don't see those on the iPad yet, or iOS 7 for that matter, so that is obviously maybe going to come in the future. Taking a little deeper look at the iPad Air, we of course have a 5-megapixel shooter on the back that shoots 1080p video. I have personally not been a fan of taking photos or video with a tablet. Now, if you feel otherwise, it is obviously there for you to use, but that is just me. Now, at the heart of the iPad Air and what makes it so dang fast is the 64-bit A7 processor, and from what I've learned, it's actually overclocked slightly higher than that on the iPhone 5S, so it's absolutely going to tear through performance and games. It also does feature the M7 coprocessor, which is the sidekick to the A7 chip and computes only motion data. Not sure how useful that would be on a tablet simply because I don't see myself walking around with it, but I'm sure more uses will come down the road. Now jumping back into gaming, and that's actually more where I noticed the lightness of the iPad Air. And real quick, before you start judging me, it is really hard to play a game looking through your screen trying to record yourself, so go easy on me. But in all seriousness, when you're turning, when you're steering, and just holding it up for extended periods of time, that's when you start to appreciate the overall lightness. Now, if you're coming from an iPad mini, for example, it's not the end-all be-all in terms of lightness, but it is definitely a huge and nice improvement over the previous models. So that about wraps up the unboxing, first look, and comparison. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did and you are feeling like being awesome, make sure to hit that like button. It is much appreciated. As I'm sure you guys probably already saw, I did also pick up the smart cover for the iPad Air, so if you're interested in seeing a review on that, definitely let me know with a comment down below. Aside from that, if you guys have any questions or you want to get a hold of me, I'll have Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus links down below, along with the gear that I use to create these videos. Twitter and Google Plus are pretty awesome for having a conversation, so go ahead and say hi. I'll more than likely say hi back if I see it. Again, this is Jonathan with TLD. Let me know your favorite feature on the new iPad Air, and I will see you guys later.